I want to start out today with a brief love meditation. So if you feel comfortable, find a nice seated position, cross-legged or perhaps both feet on the floor. I'd really suggest that you not cross one leg or the other. It's good to stay balanced during meditation. And find a comfortable place, hands on your lap, and close your eyes, or at least leave them maybe 1/10 open if you want to leave them open. And we're going to start to just focus on the breath. Feel it as it enters your body and lifts your chest. And as you exhale, your body lowers. Inhale. Maybe inhale a nice big belly breath. And exhale. Let all the air out. All of it. Inhale. And exhale. Feel yourself getting grounded and rooted in your body. And then as you inhale, I invite you to breathe in love for yourself. And then as you exhale, I invite you to breathe out love for others. And we're just going to do this a few times over. As we breathe in love for ourselves, I invite you to really feel what that love feels like. Perhaps it might help to focus on something that you really love and appreciate about yourself as you inhale. And perhaps something that you really love and appreciate about someone else as you exhale. It doesn't have to be a person. It can be a pet or a special place that you love. Really anything that you want to give love to. And take a few breaths to focus on bringing in love and letting go of love. Beautiful. And when you're ready, slowly come back into the body and let go of the mantra. And slowly open your eyes and come back to the room. Well, hello there. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm Jessica Disbrow, licensed social worker and registered psychotherapist in the state of Colorado. I'm also the founder and primary therapist of Higher Consciousness Healing. We offer free online education, community building, individual and group therapy services, a lot of things like that. So we also specialize in working with the Millennial generation. So if you want more information about our practice and all the wonderful things we're doing there, definitely check us out on the web at www.higherconsciousnesshealing.org. Right now you're watching our live video blog We are every Saturday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, where we talk about different mental health topics from a spiritual and scientific perspective. So welcome to the show. I'm really glad that you all can be here. Just a reminder, if you have questions or want to make comments, definitely do that during the show. And if appropriate, I'll do my best to answer them. Well, last week we talked about different breathing techniques for life. We talked about breathing techniques to help us stay calm, help us with insomnia, help us get energized and focused, balanced during the day. Really good stuff. And that really brings us into meditation, because meditation really at the foundation has so much to do with breath. So I want to really dive deep into what meditation is, why it's important, how we can incorporate it into our everyday life, how we can do it in the first place. And then I'm going to be covering 6 different types of meditations that I've personally come up with to help kind of categorize those, because there's a lot of information going out there and I feel like some of it isn't really that accessible. Like when we talk about like Kundalini meditation, it's like, what does that mean? That's kind of foreign to a lot of our American viewers. So, excuse me. What is meditation? Well, according to Webster's dictionary, it's to engage in a mental exercise for the purpose of reaching a heightened level of spiritual awareness. What does that mean? So when we talk about spiritual stuff on this show, what we're really talking about is we're talking about the energetic side of the universe that we know is there and that we can't see. And they're backing up this more and more through science. And a big part of that energy is our soul. It really is our spirit. And so when we talk about tapping into a heightened state of spiritual awareness, what we're really saying is, I am not my thoughts, I'm not my body, I'm something greater than that, and I can tap into that level of awareness and consciousness through some of these practices. So it really is about creating a higher level of awareness in yourself and that deeper understanding that you are not your thoughts and you're not really your human experience. At the core, you're something a lot greater and more beautiful and powerful than you probably ever thought possible. Now, why talk about meditation? Why is this stuff important? Aside to, gain a higher level of spiritual awareness, because I think that's important. But how does it impact our everyday life, and why should we do it and reach for that? Well, ultimately the goal is to gain a sense of deep inner peace and stillness. It's a really beautiful place to be, right? But that's kind of like the end goal, and it's really hard for us to just kind of snap into like, okay, I'm going to meditate for 5 minutes a day, and then in a week I'm going to have inner peace. It doesn't really work like that. It really takes a lot of practice. Another reason why it's really good to meditate is it helps us become more present with the moment and what's around us and our current experience. Because if we're in our heads and worrying and thinking, and even if it's like excitement, we're not really experiencing the world around us, and we're not really living fully as we could. So that's really important. I want to bring up something that I kind of glossed over in my addictions video, which I think is just really relevant for now. And honestly, it's the addiction to compulsive thinking. So there's lots of kinds of addictions, and how I defined addiction in episode 15 was it's any compulsive act that takes us away from the present moment. And that includes our thoughts. It's one of those addictions that we don't talk a lot about, or that people are just completely blind to, because it's just such a normal part of our everyday life. But that compulsive thinking, and so many of us do it, just really, really doesn't serve us. And I would even argue that most of the time, we don't even need the majority of the thoughts that are going on in our head. I know that might seem kind of hard to grasp for some of you in the audience, but I really believe that when we quiet our mind and we're present, we're able to tap into this universal energy, this universal consciousness, or what Jung called, the collective unconscious, those kinds of things and archetypes, in a way that allows us to be part of life and to flow with life. So what does that really look like in practice? Because we want to problem solve, we want to have control over the things around us, and we think, I need to solve this problem, so I need to think about it. Well, really what can happen is when we let go of that problem, because we're all connected, the universe or God is going to sort that out for you and actually bring you the answer that you're looking for. One of Rumi's famous quotes is, hopefully I get this right, but what you seek is seeking you. So when we send out that energy and we're like, we have this problem, here it is, and then we let it go, we allow space for that answer to come back to us. And really miraculous things come out of this. And this really goes back to what Christians call faith. When we have faith that God is going to take care of us, that God is going to help us solve our problems, that's what I believe is happening. Because we are all so tapped in. It's pretty amazing. So again, a lot of our thoughts are actually preventing us from tapping in to that universal energy and allowing things to resolve itself naturally instead of being so wound up in our heads. It's pretty amazing. A couple other reasons why meditation is just really great is we can rewire our brain for positivity and love. Because so many of us are stressed out, we have a lot of negative thought patterns, rightfully so, because of our biology. We're really wired to look for problems and try and survive, and we, at the biological level, believe that this is all there is because this is all we can see is the physical reality. But really, that's only half the picture. So it's really exciting, again, for science to be showing up with evidence for these things. And we're really at the dawn of an awakening consciousness. So welcome to that. All right. How do we meditate? Well, first I'm going to talk about how we can incorporate it into our everyday lives, and then I'm going to talk about the different types of meditation. Because it's like, well, I don't have time to meditate, or I tried to meditate and it was really hard. I don't really fully understand what exactly it is. It's like, yeah, you defined it for me, but like, what does that look like in practice? How can we really do that? I'd suggest starting a daily practice, even 5 minutes a day. In the morning, I personally think is the best because you're nice and refreshed, or even if you didn't get a good night's sleep, just taking 5 minutes out of your morning first thing to sit and practice some of these, whatever meditation resonates with you, would be really, really helpful. And I know that a lot of folks think that, okay, I have to sit in a certain meditative position, I have to have everything quiet around me, I need to have all of these things in place before I can meditate. And I want to tell you that that's really limiting. It's limiting you. So I believe we can meditate at any time, preferably on the in-between times. Not while you're like talking with a friend or something. That's not going to serve you very well. But the in-between times. So the times that you're waiting in line. Maybe you're stuck in traffic. Those are really great opportunities to meditate. Now, I recommend not closing your eyes if you're stuck in traffic, but it's a great time to do that. Another recommendation that I have is, people say that they don't have time, but really when we start doing this work and we start being more mindful and present in the moment, we'll realize that we may be doing a lot of things that are wasting our time. TV is a really good example of this. So maybe watch TV for 5 minutes less a day, and maybe you can meditate before your favorite TV show. Do something like that. Mindfulness practices are really profound. I covered that, I believe it was episode 3. I'll definitely check that out, because mindfulness is a form of meditation, and it can really help us to start to find that place of stillness, find that place of calm, and it's something that we can do anytime. While we're washing the dishes, being really mindful of how the soap smells, how the dishes feel in our hands, any kind of cleaning, if you have a dishwasher, you're like, that doesn't really apply to me. When you're wiping down the stove, anything like that can be really, really helpful. And then, of course, sitting meditations are really, really great. And the idea about sitting meditations and the reason why they're using that particular posture with legs crossed, hands on the knees, palms up, and really a straight aligned spine. The idea is that we have different chakras or energy centers that are throughout our body. And again, they're proving this stuff with science, so it's not just woo-woo now. The main idea is that when we really align all of our chakras and we're in a balanced position with our palms up, which is to receive good energy. If you want palms down, it's more focused inward. That's the idea, is that you're helping your body tap into those different energies while meditating. So that's really beautiful and awesome. But I really do encourage you that if you find yourself in those waiting spaces, to try a little bit of meditation anyway, despite not being in the exact correct, posture. Don't worry too much about it. We're all on a learning curve. I really am just hoping to help people get motivated to start doing this meditative work and not feel so intimidated by it. All right, that brings us to the 6 types of meditations that I'm going to go through. Now, these are meditations that are frameworks that I came up with based on all that I know about meditation. It's not like Eastern based. We're not going to get into those kinds of meditations, but just kind of a easy to understand guide of different types of meditations. So number 1 is guided and visual meditations. Those are really good for beginners. You can look them up on YouTube. There's tons of guided meditations out there. Really recommend checking those out. Number 2, I call them focus meditations. So they're meditations where you're focusing on the breath. Perhaps you're looking at a candle. Perhaps you're focusing on a specific mantra or a specific sound that's going on. Those kinds of meditations can be really powerful. Number 3, watch your thoughts. This is a whole other form of meditation where instead of trying to focus or change or control, you're really just watching your thoughts and creating that higher level of awareness. It's almost as if you're next to a river and you're watching the stream, and your thoughts are like leaves going down the river. You don't need to attach yourself to them. You don't need to get too hung up on them. Just let them pass and go back to the breath and that stillness. And that can be really great. In addition, number 4 is rewiring your brain. So that's really to create new neural pathways in your brain from, those negative things to something more positive. So you can watch your thoughts and say, like, a negative thought comes in, and you can really examine it. Be like, why is this thought happening? Because there's so many reasons why, and sometimes we get too hung up on why. So just acknowledge what the negative thought is. and see how you can disempower it. What isn't true about that negative thought? Perhaps it's, I am worthless. No, you're not worthless. I promise you. You're definitely worth more than worthless. So what are things that make you worthy? What are some good qualities about yourself? How can you disempower that negative thought? Because it's not true. Even though it might feel true, it's not true. And even though we might have done bad things in our past or made mistakes, as long as we're on this journey, we're really trying to do the best we can. And when people are in that reactionary state, they kind of only have so much control because of how we're wired. So it's important to find forgiveness for ourselves and that space of love and kindness that we can really use to help rewire our brain. So then we're, maybe not making some of those mistakes that we're getting so hung up about because we're in a higher place. And it's really, really great. Number 5 can be a combination of any of these. So a really great example, I'm going to kind of go back to the meditation that we used at the beginning where we were inhaling love. Well, I invite you to then exhale something that isn't serving you. Now, this is a combination because it's using that mantra, that focus around love, and then we're also rewiring. So we're breathing in lots of love for ourselves and goodness, and then we're exhaling just literally whatever comes to mind that isn't serving you. As I was personally doing this kind of meditation, I found myself exhaling a lot of judgment. Judgment just kept coming in from all over, fear of judgment from other people, judgment around myself. And I really started to work through that through a meditative state as I was inhaling all that love and exhaling judgment until it felt like it was no longer part of me. And it might be a while. That's okay. We all have our own journey and things to work through. That's a really great one. And number 6, and the reason why I left this last is because I really feel like this is the end goal of meditation. And this is why people, I feel, get so confused. Having a silent meditation with little to no thoughts. Really finding that place of calm and stillness and really letting go and just being in your presence, connected to your spirit and the present moment in this really profound way. That's the end goal. So if you can start to cultivate that during your meditation and the in-between moments, that is amazing. Because ultimately, what we can do is we can find that stillness, that peace of mind all the time. It's incredible. And it's really, really difficult for people because people are missing some of the key ingredients. And it's actually nothing that I've mentioned in the show so far. So I'm going to give you, it's not a secret because I brought it up in my first episode. And I really want to dive into it next week as we talk about how our gut health affects our mental health. Because they're discovering that our gut is like our second brain, and what we eat is incredibly vital for how our brain is operating. And really what they're discovering is that most mental health issues stem from poor diet, lack of exercise, sleep, and just overall wellness in the body that's causing anxiety, depression, even suicidality, homicide. So it's pretty crazy when we take that into consideration. So I can't stress how important our next episode is going to be as we really dive into gut health. All right. Thank you so much for watching the show today. I'm really glad that you all can be here with me. And I'm super, super jazzed for next week's episode. So if you have any questions or comments, now would be the time to ask because we're definitely wrapping up. I really invite you to, we're still doing our New Year's challenge. So we're re-airing all of our episodes back to back through the month of January. They're all available on YouTube. I highly suggest if you're just tuning in to catch some of our previous shows. They do follow an order, but you can skip around. So pick the ones that resonate with you. Love your feedback and comments. If you like this video or any of the videos that we're putting out there, definitely like, comment, share with your friends and family. I feel like this stuff is so important, and especially next week's episode, where we're really going to be diving into how our gut health impacts our mental health. Because really, that's part of the reason why everyone is so unfocused, just really stressed out, really having a hard time with life in general. And as a mental health professional, I just can't overlook the importance of this. All right. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope everybody take care.